Hey guys, if you're just getting started with thermal devices, I have a couple of tips that might help you out. None of this is secret mind-blowing information, but this video is a lot faster than reading the manual. I'll be demonstrating a lot of this stuff with the AGM Rattler V2 because it's the thermal scope that I have, but this stuff should apply to most thermal devices. First up, let's talk about image calibration. This is sometimes also referred to as non-uniformity correction or flat field correction. If a thermal device is running continuously, the sensor will slowly get overloaded, and every once in a while it has to take a quick break. When this happens, you'll hear a click from the device and the image will freeze for a second. This is because a shutter is actually being moved in front of the sensor to give it a chance to calibrate. This can be pretty inconvenient if the device freezes while you're trying to take a shot. However, most thermal devices give you the option to set image calibration to a manual setting. On the Rattler V2, there are 3 modes: automatic, semi-automatic, and manual. One convenience feature of the V2 is that there's a little countdown timer that shows up right before the device automatically calibrates. That at least gives you some time to prepare for the momentary image freeze. However, I think you'd probably be better off with semi-automatic mode. In semi-automatic or manual mode, the device will not automatically calibrate, and over time, the image quality will degrade as the sensor gets more and more overloaded. In semi-automatic mode, you can hold down the mode button to initiate sensor calibration whenever it's convenient for you. You can let a thermal device go a pretty long time without calibration before the image degrades to the point where it's unusable. Manual mode is a bit different. You're supposed to actually put the lens cover on and then hold down the mode button to initiate a more thorough calibration. If you initiate a manual calibration with the lens cap off, stuff will get kind of weird, so I would recommend sticking to semi-automatic mode. Depending on the make and model of your thermal device, the image calibration modes may be named differently, but they should all have it somewhere in the menu. The second thing to talk about is battery management. Thermals are very power-hungry devices, so if you want it to last all night, you have to be careful with how you use it. The previous generation of these AGM Rattlers ran on a pair of CR123 batteries. The V2 runs off of a proprietary battery pack, which is a bit less convenient, but it does triple the battery life. Virtually all thermal devices can also draw power from a USB battery bank, which is another way to keep them running all night. If you ever go to an industry convention like SHOT Show or NRAM, you'll notice that all the thermal devices at all the booths are hooked up to USB battery banks in order to keep them running all day. Depending on how you're using your thermal device, you may not want to repeatedly turn it off and back on again during the night. The boot up time on the Rattler V2 is pretty short, but it's still easily long enough to cost you a shot opportunity. If you want to keep the device ready to go at all times, you can disable the automatic shut-off timer. And if you want to save a little bit of battery, you can tap the power button to turn off the screen. Turning the screen back on with a touch of the power button is a lot faster than waiting for the device to boot up completely. However, it also doesn't save that much battery because the sensor and the image processing and the onboard menus are all still running. As for the third and perhaps most frustrating thing about thermal devices, what are you going to shoot at? For zeroing a thermal scope, I've seen people suggest that you tape a hand warmer to your target, or you warm up a metal bolt and poke it through the cardboard. This version of the Rattler V2 has a 35mm objective lens and a 640 by 480 pixel resolution. It's not the highest end version of the Rattler, but it is up there, and this one can actually see impacts in paper at 50 yards. At first, I thought it was the temperature difference of the light coming through the holes, but it turns out it was actually seeing the heat imparted into the cardboard from the bullet going through it. Not only is that extremely cool, but it also made zeroing relatively painless. As far as what you're going to shoot after you've zeroed your thermal, well, I found that frozen water bottles made for extremely fun reactive targets. Really, any liquid-filled container that's not at ambient temperature will be easy to see and fun to shoot. You can also shoot sporting clays. Set a bunch of them up on the berm at the range, and you'll be able to tell them apart from the ground pretty easily. Thermals would also go very well on an airsoft gun for some force-on-force. The short effective range of airsoft guns pairs nicely with the short effective range of man-portable commercial-grade thermal devices. Luke C. and I stopped by the AGM booth at NRAM 2024 this year, and they had a really cool little gel blaster arena setup inside their booth space. In an extreme close-quarters environment like that, I probably would have just preferred a flashlight, but it was still very fun.
10 seconds, 10, 9.
Anyway, hope you guys found that useful. Thanks for watching. Let me know in the comments if you have any questions, and I'll see you guys next time.